This is VOA News. In Washington, I'm Jeff Custer. The Kremlin said Saturday mercenary leader Yevgeny Prigozhin, who turned his Wagner Group fighters against the military leadership in Moscow, will move to Belarus, and criminal charges against him for mounting an armed rebellion will be dropped. The office of Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko confirmed he negotiated the deal with the Wagner Group chief with the approval of Russian President Vladimir Putin. Lukashenko said he has known Prigozhin personally for 20 years. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters via telephone the negotiations also guaranteed that Wagner fighters will not be prosecuted. Peskov said the number one goal of the negotiation was preventing violence. Peskov told reporters via telephone there was the highest goal to avoid bloodshed and internal confrontation with unpredictable results. It's for the sake of these goals that President Lukashenko's mediation efforts were put into action, and President Putin made a corresponding decision. While the events in Russia ended without violence, at least one analyst thinks perhaps the damage to Russian President Vladimir Putin may have already been done. British General Richard Barons told the British news service, the Reuters news service, the decision by the Wagner Group founder Yevgeny Prigozhin to advance on Moscow did not appear to be thought out, but was nonetheless a shock to Putin's government and might send a message to others.
It is clear that the fracturing of the regime that sits around President Putin, which people have talked about and speculated about, is very real. And what we're really looking for now is does Prigozhin become a standard bearer and people, whoever they are, bind in behind him in what becomes like a 1917. But it will absolutely deplete confidence in President Putin's grip on things, and it will make people think that he can be taken on and replaced.
This is VOA News. Former U.S. Vice President Mike Pence spoke at the National Celebrate Life rally in Washington Saturday, commemorating the anniversary of the Supreme Court's decision in Dobbs versus Jackson, overturning the landmark Roe versus Wade abortion decision.
Because of your work and because of your prayers, the Supreme Court of the United States sent Roe versus Wade to the ash heap of history where it belongs and gave America a new beginning for life.
Pence used a Friday gathering of some of the nation's leading Christian conservatives to urge his rivals for the Republican presidential nomination to support a 15-week federal abortion ban at minimum. The June 24, 2022 Supreme Court ruling allowed U.S. states to ban abortion care for the first time in 50 years. The Canadian Royal Mounted Police, the RCMP, Saturday joined Canada's Transportation Safety Board in announcing they are each conducting separate investigations into the loss of the Titan submersible and the five-man team who perished this week as they attempted to descend to the wreck of the Titanic in the North Atlantic. RCMP Superintendent Kent Osmond announced that the investigation, or that the deaths of the five individuals aboard the submersible Titanic, led to an investigation into if any possible federal or provincial laws may have been broken. At a separate news conference, St. John's Canadian TSB in St. John's, Newfoundland, Canadian Transportation Safety Board Chair Kathy Fox said they're investigating the incident from a safety perspective and are speaking with those aboard the Titan's mothership, Prince. A bridge that crosses the Yellowstone River in Montana collapsed overnight, causing portions of a freight train that was traveling over it to plunge into the water below. In the western state of Montana, rail officials said the train crew was safe and no injuries were reported. Numerous tank cars were partially submerged into the river early Saturday. Railroad crews were at the scene near the town of Columbus, about 64 kilometers west of Billings. The river was swollen with recent heavy rains, although it was unclear whether that contributed to the collapse of the bridge. Airlines are facing increasing pressure to cut their climate-changing emissions. That made sustainable aviation fuel a hot topic at this week's Paris Air Show, a major industry event. Sustainable fuel made from food waste or plant materials, aviation's best hope for reducing emissions in the next couple of decades. The industry is counting on sustainable fuel to contribute heavily to its goal of reaching net zero carbon emissions by 2050. In Washington, I'm Jeff Custer. This is VOA News.
Thank you for watching. Can you do me a favor? Please leave a comment in the comments section below. That would really help. Thank you, and see you again soon.